exposing the secret sauce in business-to-business marketing. The Tagline Podcast is where real stories meet proven strategies. Let's elevate your business. Real strategies, real stories, real results. In the business-to-business industry, you're not selling to businesses. It's human to human. We break down what works, what doesn't, and how you can truly stand out. Transparency, credibility, growth. Get a behind-the-scenes look at what drives success in business-to-business marketing. Get ready for the next Tagline Podcast powered by the Abley Group.
Hey, welcome to the Tagline Podcast. My name is Justin Starboard, and today I get my co-host from another show, the Sunstone Health podcast, Josh Resnikof, the CEO, founder of TMA Precision Health. Josh, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, happy to be here. Excited to do more podcasts together.
Yeah, man, this is great. I mean, we're trying out a new platform today. You're the guinea pig for a bunch. We just got a formal countdown into the platform, into the show. Man, I feel like this is exciting.
It's great. So it's telling me the actual recording is higher quality than what we're seeing. It's got a 95% uploading, 98. Yeah. We're good. We're cooking with gas over here.
We are. I think this is, that's what we're here for, man. We're here to test new things, always continue to push the envelope, if you will. But you have been doing that your entire career. And that's what's been so cool about getting to know you is, not just hearing the stories of old, but also what you're doing today. Talk a little bit about, what TMA Precision Health is, soon to be Sunstone Health.
Yeah. Well, the new tagline that we're trying out right now is that we use employers' claims data to find the patients, the high cost and complex patients that need the most help. We power their path to effective care and we reduce the cost of getting there, right? So we really focus on patients that have a genetic basis for a disease because those tend to be the ones that don't fit into a really neat box inside of the current healthcare system. And once you're really not in a box, it becomes, you're in a maze, an odyssey of referrals and specialists and all that sort of stuff. When really we know the tools that we need to deploy to get you to the answers that you and your healthcare team need. So we just try to shorten that path as much as possible.
Yeah, it's an incredible and inspirational journey. It's been really neat to get to see and learn more about it. You've actually been on your own journey, your own odyssey for the last several years that led you to creating this company. I know we've talked about it a bunch on the Sunstone Health podcast. We've talked about it at some other shows, but for our listeners who weren't at the trade show in Boston or haven't heard us yet on the Sunstone Health podcast, talk a little bit about what got you here today.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, my journey is a personal one, like a lot of families in the rare disease space. I was a biomedical engineer. I was a bench scientist. I had started a few companies. I had some good success there, but, really thought that I would be on the research and the translational research side of everything for the rest of my career. I have 3 sons and my middle one is the one who has a rare syndrome. And he's the one that really switched my whole life from being a scientist trying to invent solutions for people to being a caregiver and really coming face to face with like how bad the implementation of those solutions was at a very personal level. And so like so many things, right? Like frustration and getting a little pissed off were really the like fire that lit under me for making a better solution. So really at the end of the day, what we are trying to create, what we have created is just the solution that I wish existed when my son first got sick.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible. What you've been able to, bootstrap and put together to this point has been nothing short of amazing between, in Colombia and opportunities for trials here in the United States. You have, been able to, it's funny because you and I have talked about this. Some are looking at you as having a lot of success, to this point already. And you're like, hey man, we're just getting started. We're only at the onset, even though we've been at this for a little while. What is that dichotomy been like?
I think, to be fully honest, there's always like a little bit of imposter syndrome that goes on, right? Because you work at something for so long. And even though I love this new saying that I heard about, like, you learn it to earn it, right? Even though I feel like I'm an expert in this space and that I have really come to understand a lot of the nuances in the system, where we can be effective, how to leverage change, it still feels like I have so much to do and so much to learn. But I'd like to think that on the long growth, right? Everybody wants their founder journey to look like that hockey stick. I think that people don't appreciate just how long that first stage can be, right? Everybody likes the growth part. So yeah, we've my son's 10 years old now. We've been doing this for a decade. And we've been working on this company for about half of that. So it feels good to have found a place where we can go into a healthcare challenge with a market solution that has the legs to scale. I think that's the right way to say it.
Yeah, do not disagree. That's a great way to put it. Thinking about, you bootstrapped until this point, and then recently you and I met as you were kicking off a crowdfunding campaign to acquire retail investors, and really to tap into the community that has always been willing to go above and beyond and give them, an opportunity to participate and see this project be successful. What led to the decision to go to crowdfunding versus maybe normal institutional investing? Was it a market change? What really made you think that that was the best avenue to get started?
Yeah, I think it's a really fair question. We get asked all the time. Look, in 2025, like market conditions suck for everybody. Unless you're like one of Andreessen's handpicked ventures, like it's just a challenging time to raise money. So that is a generally truism right now for the backdrop of everyone in my field, like the Boston biotech community. If you're CPG, unless you're a new kind of AI platform, like you're probably not attracting a ton of capital at the moment. So we were certainly contemplating all of the ways. We had a lead investor. We have a lead investor. We were circling traditional VC money through a Reg D. And that was great. We had lots of traction with that. It actually kind of felt like because we were successful in that space, we had the space in our cap table to open it up to the community. And from our talks that I'm a very community driven person. I really believe in the power of networks. It's how you and I met, right? Like that intros, that like friends of friends. You said this thing the other day of like, there's no strangers, there's just friends we haven't met yet. And I've never heard anybody say that before. And it like stuck with me. I really like that a lot. But I think that general approach to interactions, looking to be able to give something to the people that we also have to ask things of to participate, was really the genesis of like, hey, let's open up a chunk of money, a chunk of the round to the community, so that they can participate and hopefully reap some of the reward too, not just the outcome, or not just power the machine. And the response was frankly far more overwhelming and successful and positive than I had ever hoped for. I thought we might bring in a couple $100,000, and we're almost at 1.5 million right now.
Yeah.
So for us, it's the same vehicle. Well, it's a Reg CF versus a Reg D, but it's the same terms that our professional VCs get. So we're not trying to say one class of person is different than better or worse than a different class of people. And I think just being genuine, like I'm in the trenches with the same people I'm asking to help put their money in. I've put my money in. I put my blood, sweat, and tears in, right? So it just feels like if you have friends, right, and you have a cheeseburger and they're hungry, you share that with them, right? So for me, it's like an opportunity to bring everybody that I care about so much into the table, to give them a seat at the table and let them take this ride with us in a way that's much more than just like, give me your cheek swab and we'll try
Right.
to.
Yeah, I love that. I never heard of cheeseburger. I mean, I've heard a
Well,
dollar.
it's a terrible analogy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to put it, because when you think about your community, and the community rather, it's so tight knit. It's one of those things where everybody is in a different, spot on that journey. You guys do such a good job of helping identify markers that eliminate that need to spend so much time, effort, energy, and money to find an answer to the ailment that's out there. Thinking about the community that you had before and your network, you spent a lot of time before getting into or asking for investment cultivating and building it. What was that part of the business building like? Was that, how much time did you actually put into that?
I mean, years, years. And it depends on how you want to quantify or qualify where that network building begins. Cause I would argue it goes all the way back for me to my undergraduate, right? Of starting to like create relationships in science and medicine that parlayed into other things that I didn't even know they were going to become. Like, I'm not saying go out and be like Machiavellian about who you want to meet and how you're going to use them, right? Like I'm a big believer in if you give, you get more, right? And that's not to say like only give so that you can get. I just think that starting with a give is always the better way to be. And there are so many people where Like, I just wanted to show up and do hard work and be the first one in the lab and the last one to leave. And those relationships years later, when I started to have my challenges with my kid, right, where I had been a tech for somebody, like those relationships opened doors to doctors, to access, to HR people, to CFO people that I never could have known they were going to do. But
Sure.
so I think for me, to kind of come back to your exact question, like network building and community building, it's just a lot of friends I haven't met yet. You know, like everybody for me is like part of my network, unless you piss me off, and then I'll never talk to you again.
Then out, right?
Right.
Yeah, I love that. Thinking about the campaign itself and some of the, fundraising that you've had to do or you are in the midst of doing, what are some pitfalls that folks, can learn from, I don't want to say mistakes, bumps in your road that, maybe they won't have to make because you share.
Yeah, which really at the end of the day, like that each one teach one mentality for me is like why I go do mentorship moments at Northeastern or we'll coach anybody. Like I'll take every call. You know what I mean? I think, we talked about this before, like bringing on help like Tag was super important for us early on to help tell a better story, like not trying to be the expert about everything, like understanding where your limits are and how to ask for help and how to admit that you don't know how to do something the best way. For me, is probably the most important skill that I'm probably okay at, but I've had to really cultivate as an adult, right? Because I'm just by nature a very competitive person.
Yeah.
But you can't be the best at everything all the time, right? You need to build a team that you trust and that you trust to operate and you trust to fail along their own path to help you achieve the things that you want to achieve. So that'd be number one. I think for the crowdfunding thing in particular, I know just from my own, like I've invested in a few companies off of WeFunder now because I think it's kind of cool. And I'll tell you, the ones that I don't like are the ones that feel not inauthentic, but they're like if someone's like, hey, this is a great market opportunity, I'm like, that's not really so interesting, right? But the ones that tell a really great story, the ones that really capture a frustration or a moment that someone is building a solution for that resonates, those are the ones that I put some cash into. And I think that's the most compelling thing for anybody who's going to get on there and use a platform like WeFunder, not just to aggregate capital, but to get themselves out in front of the community they know and a community they haven't met yet.
Well, I love that you talk about the story because nobody remembers the details. Often it's
That's right.
that they recall, right? And again, you have a harrowing story. I mean, it's wonderful on one side and terrible on the other. And it's so personal to you. But I think what you've done such a good job of is starting to make sure that you've defined your brand, you've defined what your messaging is, you've defined who you are and who you want to be, of course, leaving room for pivots as they come up. What has that been like? And how did you start to really build that strategy out, especially for the crowdfunding campaign?
Yeah, there are so many layers to that question, right? Like when we first started TMA, we were like, hey, we're gonna go solve all rare disease. And we met people who had some software, we met experts, and that quickly became, you know, untenable, right? And so having a lot of honest conversations, not just with myself, but with my investors, my angels, my coworkers, my co-founders, right? About what is it that we're trying to accomplish and what is it that we believe we can accomplish if we do XYZ. Like we're not a nonprofit, right? We wanted to be a commercial company so that we could take on larger amounts of capital because we believe that it enables us to scale. But I think for most people, at least definitely for scientists, there's a lot of jokes about how scientists don't make good business people, and I think a lot of founders
Well, there's some good jokes about business people that don't make good scientists.
Well, fair enough. We don't tell those in polite company though. No, I think the reality is that you get a lot of people who have a really great idea, but maybe they're not the best operator. Maybe they're not the best salesperson, right? Maybe they understand the science, but they don't understand how to like grow a company. And that's on the internal side. But then also going out to the market and you're like, oh, I know how this thing's going to work. And then you hear from customers, well, actually, that's not what I want. I want this thing. And being humble enough to go back and change your original thesis or adjust your product to actually provide the thing that your customers are going to want. And that's not to say like do whatever, customers always right. Like you should just go make whatever thing that they have in their fancy, but really being open to critical feedback and really being willing to make significant changes because ultimately you want your company to be successful, right? And so you have to go into every conversation with open ears and then have honest conversation with yourself about what you're doing. And that's maybe not every customer is a great fit, but hey, if you've had 10 conversations and no one's buying what you're selling, I mean, you might not be in the right business.
Might have to reevaluate what you're doing, right? When we met, you were not a one man band, but your team is very still very much in the growing stage. I'd say it still is. And when we also, the intention was not necessarily to work together. One of the things I found to be so interesting was how you were tackling the different elements of the crowdfund. So you had the one piece where, you had a community. Now you have to tell them, and now you've got to, create content that, is shareable. At what point did you decide? I know, again, you were evaluating a number of different companies to potentially work with you to fill in some of those gaps. What were some of the criteria that you were using to evaluate potential companies to work with you?
Media partners like Tag, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think for me, it's really important in life to have like a pretty strong, and maybe this is my New England showing, but like you got to have a pretty strong like bullshit meter, on people. And the minute you go up on crowdfunding, maybe this is a good piece of advice for your earlier question. You're going to get, your inbox is going to get full of every Tom, Dick, and Harry who's telling you that they can sell you, they can get you $1 million and we got an email list and, they're going to give you a 20x on your ROI for your meta spend. Like they're all full of crap. Right. And so like everybody out there, they have to sell their company and their service too. So like respect on that front. But there are some people who are just they don't feel genuine and they don't feel sincere and they don't feel like they're on my team. They just feel like I felt like I was like an ATM moment for them. They could see that I was doing well on WeFunder and they wanted to like extract as much value from me as possible. And so you and I got introduced through like a mutual friend, right? Somebody that you work with and somebody that I work with at WeFunder. And that already put you, head and shoulders above all the other people, like someone that I was actually going to have a conversation with. And then, I think that chemistry is really important. You have to like that the people that you're going to work with. I talk to you 3 times a week right now, right? Like if I didn't like that, this wouldn't go anywhere.
Right.
You and your team have never felt anything but genuine to me about wanting to help us grow, not the other way around, right? And like obviously it's a paid for service, but I have never been on a call with you guys, even from our first call, where you were offering, you gave me on our first call, you weren't saying, hey, you should hire me right now. You said, hey, I've got this cool panel in Boston. It might be really cool for you to be part of that. And that parlayed into a bigger thing of like, hey, well, maybe we should be working together on a different level, right? And I think just the way that conversation got to start and the way that your team has always been with us of just being really supportive and really trying to hone our message and really trying to help us like present our most authentic self out to the world. That's the thing that we like working with Tag about the most. It's, you guys feel like you're part of our team.
Well, you certainly make us feel a part of your team, and I do appreciate those kind words. And I do also believe that you're truly building something great here. Thinking through where you are and what stage you're at in the just not just the crowdfunding, but also the development of the business. What are you looking forward to? Here we are, end of 2025, looking at into 2026. What are you most looking forward to next? And you have a big event coming up next week. By the time this launches, it'll already have happened. But, for the purposes of this conversation, a big event next week and a lot coming pretty quickly down the road. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, it's, this year has been the first year where I switched out of going to science conferences and started going to basically customer conferences, right? So like self-funded employers, reinsurance, that kind of thing. And it's been really awesome, to just meet new friends, sort of explore this new community, but really find out about how many people are out there from all parts of the country, right? That are frustrated with the healthcare that they're getting and trying to build a new and better system and to be part of that process, right? Like I sincerely believe that we will be part of the infrastructure that helps these employers make data-driven healthcare decisions or helps their members make it and helps save everybody money. And so there really feels like there's a movement underfoot that we get to participate in and hopefully be a pretty significant part of. So we're taking the next few weeks, the next 7 weeks, I guess, really, and like mapping out our conference schedule. And just even from the few that I've been to this year, like I'm already excited to see some people that I know, those friendships that you only get to see at conferences, right? But like I got a whole crew of guys from South Texas who like I only get to see in Denver and Oklahoma City because that's where we overlap. But that kind of that thing, like it's a lot of travel coming up, but it's I'm really excited about where we are in our journey to be integrated into these bigger companies and bigger organizations and really deliver on providing better care at scale for so many people. Like I know we can do that. We've already done it, and being able to transact on that around the country is like I'm psyched for 2026. It's going to be a great year.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I am too, to see the growth and the evolution of the company, to be a small part of that and our team to be a small part of that is really exciting too. So I'm with you, man. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of hard work though, too. I think, there's a lot to come from the development side, from the technology side, from the growing that community and we'll have a chance to see some of those successes, right? So I think that's gonna be really fun too.
Yeah, it's very cool to be building this community that's gonna help us get bigger and advance and do that thing, right? Like people who are inspired by the mission. It feels great. It really feels great. It feels like the culmination of a lot of hard work is like we're like starting to take off,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree, man. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your insights and, of course, the kind words for Tag and the Tag team.
Yeah, we love you guys. We love you guys.
Well, I love you too, man. Get to see you. I get to see you again next week.
For sure. For sure. No, it's stuff like that where the fact that you're going to come out and help us on the ground, it's not just a couple of Zoom heads talking to each other. You're all hands in, right? So, and hands on. So no, it's great. Good podcast.
Well, I think we probably do this again, maybe on your show, on my show, whatever we do. We'll dig into some more of these things and get to celebrate these milestones together. So really looking forward to it.
Can't wait.
Well, on behalf of my guest today, Josh Resnikof, CEO, co-founder of TMA Precision Health and soon to be Sunstone Health. You've been listening to the Tagline Podcast. Until next time.